So breaking details on an attack in Africa that left 3 Green Berets dead and 2 others injured. Military officials say the group was ambushed in Niger during a training mission with local troops. Andrew Peak is a former U.S. Army intelligence officer and a fellow at the Clements Center for National Security. One of the most troubling details about this story is that they were on this training mission, so they couldn't have been easy to find when they were ambushed. Isn't that, I mean, that's worrisome, isn't it?
It's extremely worrisome. You know, usually when we see special forces deaths like this, they are on a raid against a hardened target, like an al-Qaeda compound. Very, very rarely, I can't think of any in my experience, have there been a combat death on a training mission for these kind of internal defense patrols and advisory missions that the Green Berets do so well. It really speaks to the ability of the jihadists to gain intelligence about where our forces are in some of these countries.
And it also tells you that at this point they have no borders. I mean, they're sort of moving into all new territory, especially when it comes to Africa. How big of a problem is that?
That's right. I mean, the counterterrorism problem in Africa is such a challenge because these states that you see on the map, these kind of big rectangles, are not big rectangles. That's not what they look like. What they look like is isolated settlements covering with a lot of restricted terrain in between that jihadists can go from one to the other very easily. State borders don't really exist. Thus, when you hit them very hard in one place, like Mali, like the French did a few years ago, they moved to other places. They moved to Nigeria, which has a terrorist problem of its own, and now they moved to Niger, which has an incredibly weak central government and where we've really had to expand our advisory mission.
Yeah, so, I mean, what's the right response?
Well, I think under Obama, you saw an expansion of these missions the Green Berets do so well. The advise and assist local militaries in building up their internal security. I think shredding the leadership networks of ISIS and groups like Boko Haram will be helpful. But I think overall it's a long-term governance issue to improve the governance of these states such that they can control their territory. Meanwhile,
the Russian investigation expands as the Senate Intelligence Committee says it has yet to find any evidence of collusion. The chairman of that Senate Intel Committee saying himself that, well, they're not going to share what they have so far. You know, it doesn't mean they should stop looking. What do you think about that?
Look, I think the Senate's really hard-pressed to justify why it has an investigation going when the special counsel also has an investigation going with, by the way, many more resources. I mean, the fact that Senator Burr, as been reported, says he can't be sure that they'll have wrapped up the investigation by the midterms, right? So that's 2 years running, says to me, this is a little bit of a drawn-out fishing expedition. I think really they have to, the onus is on them to explain why their efforts that are in parallel with Robert Mueller's efforts should be sustained.
Yeah, not that it's not an important topic, but you get the sense that these investigations only expand, they only go on, they only get bigger, and, you know, there's so much duplicity between them. You wonder if it's worth this much time and effort, even though it is, you know, an important thought, but what do you think?
Well, no, I think that's true. And the problem with Senate investigations and any congressional investigation is that because you have it bifurcated politically and because the representatives are more responsive to the people, they are so much leakier. I mean, these investigations leak like crazy in a way that, you know, whatever you might think about Bob Mueller, really his group hasn't leaked that much.
Yeah. Andrew, are you on the road today for a special reason by any chance?
I am. I'm actually in Dallas to try to convince a girl to marry me. It's not a sure thing. There's, you know, another suitor in the picture.
No.
So, but look, yeah, there are. So I'm trying to muscle them out on your show, you know, possibly with the help of your audience. They're very data-driven, her and her family. So I think any amount of tweets and so forth would help.
Wow.
But, you know, Amy Bradshaw, if you're out there, I'm the guy for you.
Amy Bradshaw, how could you possibly turn Andrew down? I know the whole audience is going to put all kinds of pressure on you now. We're all going to tweet. This poor rival. I didn't know there was another rival in the picture. My goodness. You're really bringing the big guns.
Don't get me started.
Yeah. All right. Well, we look forward to hearing if she consents. Let us know.
All right.
See you soon.
Thanks so much.